Welcome to Stories and Songs, a series of interviews with musicians from the world of jazz and improvisation. I'm Andrea Keller and I'm thrilled today to be speaking with Lynn Cassiers. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, Lynn. My first question, what have been the pivotal events in your musical journey?
Yeah, I think in terms of pivotal events, I've been thinking, and I realized the events are more realizations, kind of things that I realized through meeting people, and those people I usually met by moving out or changing my location. So I think in terms of events, I would call it more my moving around to different locations. Like I would start with The Hague, which was which is in Holland. I'm from Belgium, so I went to study there, and the school was very international. So I met like really, really a lot of different people with different jazz backgrounds. So things got really really open in terms of vision on jazz, on what is jazz. Like in contrast with the school, which was really traditional, and I went there with kind of the idea of I will become a bebop singer. And like going along with this this path of researching what is it that I want, I realized on the way by meeting these people that actually maybe it wasn't so much the singing, the virtuosic approach to the singing and learning this language to be a soloist in front, which I thought was interesting. I realized that I was more interested in what's happening in the music, like what's happening in the total of the music, the energy. I'm drawn to bands that work together in a certain way, and how can I use my voice to be part of that, to be part of more the general magma, to support also other soloists, and not just be a front man and with a band behind or with a nice repertoire and all of that. So yeah, I think that was very important for me, that even if in The Hague itself, the city, I didn't find much of my interest, but the school nevertheless was a place that really put me on another path, even if it was not at all what the school was proposing, you see. So I think you always have to look for look really well in the places you are to look what you're drawn to, no? Because in Belgium, I also realized something about my background. And I realized that Belgian jazz in general already tends to be tended at the time. I'm speaking about 2000, much more open, much more into mixing genres, into researching Indian music and or other music or African music and bringing it into the music. Much less strict thinking into styles, which was very much the approach of the school. Actually, it was really like we were learning standards and doing bebop, and I really loved to study all this harmony and trying to be a soloist and all of that. But I realized that there is this way of thinking that, okay, we learn jazz like a style, which I realized it's not what I'm interested in, actually. Like, I like to use what you offer me in that, like all the harmony, the rhythm and everything I can learn from it. I like to use it through my own vision, no? And through what other things I might discover and learn. So that's really what I learned there in The Hague, I think. Then another location was Brussels. So I moved back to Belgium. And I think a second pivotal event in my life was like starting to work with real ensembles, like professional ensembles. obviously in The Hague, I had like, okay, found this other path with effects and how to stay on a different way in a band. And I started to work with other people's bands there, like singing on their exams and going on tour. And so when I came to Brussels, I was kind of prepared for, I was into being a sideman actually, like to discover what other people see, what they can use from me, you know, and what can I use from them, like instead of just thinking about what I want to do, no, like I tried really to understand different concepts, and I was really lucky at that point because I got like I got to sing with ensembles that interested me really a lot, and that were kind of researching also music. Like I was working with Octurne, like they are really into using Messiaen modes and harmony into their music, which is a lot based on like odd meter stuff, and so they're mixing very different elements together, and that was really a challenge for me. It was really difficult to sing and to stand in a 7-piece band like that with that language that I didn't know at all. So that was lucky. I got to sing in another band called Little Boy that was really using form in a very different way than I had before. Before, I think I was more used to working really like improv or structure in a classical way, like bass and drums and harmonical instruments would all follow the same score and the same timeline, let's say. And in Little Boy, like the leader was really into seeing how we can do exactly not that, how we can be, maybe some of the rhythm section can follow one score and I would follow another score on top of it, you know, like yeah. So, and mixing that with improvisation and different stylistic also material, like also more pop melodies, but still have a very improvised approach to it, all these things. Yeah, and besides discovering Brussels underground, which was then very different even to that kind of music, because what I was seeing there was more like very sound improvised bands, you know, who mainly work on the parameter of sound only. So you don't work so much with rhythm and form, but more with sound experimentation and making your own instruments and all this kind of stuff. So it was a really rich period for me, Brussels, like in that sense of learning how to be a sideman, like and how to learn from other interesting people's ideas, you know. So I think that was really another important moment. And then the last step, I think that was really pivotal if we talk about in this big in large terms, was from that kind of research going to doing my own bands. Like that was really a big step for me, because it was kind of hard, I guess, I started with a solo album that I did in 2013, or in 2011. It only came out in 2013 because it was so difficult to make choices and to see to record and what do I really want from myself now. So I've all this experience with other people now. What do I want actually? So it came out totally different a record than I had expected, and I think other people might have expected. But I learned so much from that. Like that was really a very important step. And then that led to doing my own 2 projects under my name. Like that's only 4 years ago. I started doing an ensemble, a 7-piece band, for which I wrote music, and I really was like the leader. That was the first time I did that. And again, that's like such, that changes you so much. To having to write it down even was another step. Like, you go from working alone, so you record, you don't have to write things down, no? And then you work with people and you go like, okay, now have to put it on a score and make it work. So that was really, really interesting. These last 2 bands, like I had 2 different bands with the same rhythm section, but with different additional musicians on top of it. And they're very different, the 2 bands, and the repertoire is really, really different, but yeah, huge step for me to do this kind of.
Thank you. That sounds fascinating. And what obstacles have you had to overcome along the way of your musical journey, and how have you dealt with them?
Yeah, in terms of obstacles, I think I'm quite lucky. If I can choose one major obstacle, it would be probably how to relate to the business side and the managing side of things. Like, it's something that it doesn't really interest me how I profile myself towards an audience, no? But I know it's necessary, especially in these days, and it's a very important part. Even it became in these days, but still, I think for me it's kind of it's been kind of difficult to understand how it works and how we can make a living of this, because it seems the business is kind of imploding. I have the impression through the internet also, like all this new media to listen to music really got us torn away from the old image of the producers is producing you, and eventually also he gets money out of that, and so you can keep on working. No, you kind of build an environment of people that support you, and the fact that can be a business, that you're working and it's something that earns money. And I have the feeling that today, with huge things, platforms like Spotify, who are kind of undermining the business, that this whole hierarchy of things is crumbling. And you wonder sometimes, like where is my audience, and if this is a job, like who is supporting that? Because in the end, I have to ask money to the government in the end. So the government is more kind of deciding who is getting which opportunities, which is a really strange idea in the end. Like, also the fact that we have to rely on government money. I don't think it should be like that. Like it could be different, actually, I think. But yeah, we'll sort it out, I guess, through the next years. How things can work for us also, without the classical view of the artist these days, that we have to do everything and we have to invest everything till your project is rentable, let's say. Still, so many people like you, and I think this is really toxic for an artist, that it's so based and focused on whether people like you or how many likes something has. And I think there's something to find as a whole, the business. Like, I think people have to work together, artists and producers, a business that stands on its own feet again, no? Like, instead of being fed by government, and then as soon there's a crisis, we're all of course it falls apart. Even if it's the moment when people are consuming maybe more art and entertainment in a crisis like we just lived, but even through the net, but it doesn't really stand. But I will not make this political, so.
But it's a very good point and well said.
Yeah. I think it's I cannot wrap my head around it, so it's too big for me to understand. So it will lead me later to my motto or my life philosophy.
Yes.
But I would like to say one obstacle that maybe I would like to anyway mention, because the title is Girls Do Jazz. So I just want to mention that funny enough, like I haven't got any gender-related obstacle. I know this. I might be a minority, but I think it's important to say it, because this might mean it's a positive message, you know, like I didn't get to struggle too much, not more at least than my male counterparts. And I had really good relations being in this business, just as working with a lot of men in the end, men as women. I also work with a lot of women, but I haven't felt this kind of discrimination. I must say, in the very beginning of my journey, my musical journey, maybe in Italy once, I felt discriminated, but more because of being a singer than because of being a girl. So I think that was in the beginning maybe more of a thing, that people were a bit like in jam sessions, like, oh, there's a singer, no. But then after, I mean, once you get through that, it's fine, you know, everybody was cool. But it's so, yeah, I just wanted to say this, not obstacle. I wanted to mention it, just that it doesn't have to be today, I think, a battle, because I'm a girl.
Do you think that might have something to do with being in Belgium and in the Netherlands as well? That those places are particularly aware and a lot more sort of fair in the way they treat gender, like those places are perhaps lacking a bit more in gender biases than, say, compared to a place like Australia or America, or I mean,
it might be, of course. Yeah, it might be. I can't compare because I haven't been raised in those places. Though I think I know a lot of people and a lot of my girl friends that did suffer a lot. This might be related to the fact they have said sometimes to me that it might be because I'm a singer and not an instrumentalist, which I don't think was the case, actually. I think it's more a question of, first of all, I was lucky the way I was raised. And this could have been different, even if in Belgium or in the Netherlands, I could have been raised with the feeling that I wasn't so much equal to my brother as I did have the feeling. So I think that's really lucky. Why? Because you don't feel you don't carry an old frustration with you that you recognize in every little thing. I mean, so I might be not so sensitive I might not recognize it all the time. I don't say not so sensitive because it sounds like it wouldn't be there, this kind of discrimination, which I think it is there. But I might not recognize it so easily, first of all. So maybe I could just like kind of go pass it by in certain cases. And in other cases, I think it's kind of related to the kind of music I do, because it's pretty much into this, I think all the people I've been looking for are kind of people that are interested in making this music with more people, that is looking for something more than being just virtuoso. I think you might, I'm not sure, this is dangerous stuff that I'm saying here, but I think you might have more of this behavior, find it more in mainstream music, like that is very focused on the performance and having a kind of attitude of being the best, or you know, maybe that's just a hypothesis that I could give.
Yeah. But I think you might be right on that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And could you tell us if you have a personal philosophy or a motto that guides you, or is there some particular advice you'd like to share with younger musicians?
Yeah, I think like I said, it's kind of linked to the obstacle that I was discussing before. So I try to be really focused on what I think is important and what is gonna help me grow as an individual. And so sometimes it's hard if you to keep on standing and doing what you do, I think. I try to be happy with the choices I make and be happy while I'm doing it. So that's a very important parameter for me. Of course, you have to make choices. If you want to survive as a musician, we definitely have to do things that we don't always, that maybe it's not 100% as you would do it, or sometimes you accept something because it brings you some money. It's you can't avoid these kind of choices, but still there's always this main kind of thing that, first of all, once I can eat and sleep, the first thing that's important for me is what do I want, what does make me, what makes me happy, and then the big success or less success is not that important.
Beautifully said. And Lynn, could you please nominate a piece or an album of your creation that is particularly important or significant for you, and tell us a little bit about it?
All right. So the album I would nominate would be Jin. It's my last album. It means cloud in Chinese. Because it's an album where I kind of put two things together from my musical background. It's I wrote standards arrangements to standards, and since I've been singing standards since I'm quite young, like 14, 13 years old, I have a kind of relation to that also with the voice and how I sing them, which is quite different from how I sing some other material I found. So I wanted to see how that works if I write arrangements that permit us, the ensemble, to do what we do in more open structures or in different kind of structures. So not these traditional harmonies that lie underneath, actually. So I think that's quite representative for my research, like how to find new ways and trying to give yourself openings to reinvent yourself. So I think that's a good one to start with.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Lynn. I can't wait to listen to your music with my students. And thank you so much for your time today and your generosity in sharing your views and your experiences with us. It's been really valuable to hear. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you.